Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode number 33 of Dream Career Talk Show. Dream Career Talk Show is about building your dream career, which is much beyond getting a job. Here on this show, we are going to have industry experts from various domains who will be sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their challenges, their failures, and success so that it can help others in their career journey. This show is to help corporate professionals expand their context, get clarity, direction, hope, inspiration, and of course, the right steps to build their dream career. Today's topic is how to become a successful entrepreneur. We all talk a lot about entrepreneurship, but can everyone become entrepreneurs? What if someone doesn't want to take all the risk and still want to run the business? What if someone is great at integrating things and working as an entrepreneur within the business? Yes, an entrepreneur is an inside entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is an individual who works on developing new ideas and products within the business. Our today's guest, Mehul Gaglani, started as an individual contributor. Then he went ahead to quit his 9 to 5 job to become an entrepreneur. And then again, he moved into entrepreneurship and became a successful entrepreneur. Mehul Gaglani started from a small pay of 3,000 rupees per month and went on to make over 50 lakhs per annum in Dubai. And then he again moved out from the job to run successful business, which was worth over a crore revenue. He hit the rock bottom and then restarted again on a new path where he started as a blueprint buddy and also as an entrepreneur in the self development industry. The roller coaster ride of a CA, moving from auditing to network marketing and then into self development industry. Very interesting and very inspiring story, Mehul. Welcome to Dream Career Talk Show.
Thank you so much, Fatah. Very, very happy being here. And congratulations on the 33rd show. Just quick correction, Fatah. It was not 3,000 rupees. It was 300 rupees that I started with. 10
Oh
rupees a
my
day.
God. 300 rupees. So let's know about more of this. Like, how did you get started with your career? Right, you said about 300 rupees, and then how has been your journey so far?
Okay, so I'll tell you something. My career is filled with accidents and it's filled with coincidences, but actually, it's all the universe's plan. Like when I started in my schooling, I was like amongst the top 10 from the bottom. I never used to come. I used to be in the last 10 of this class, okay? And my
Top 10
parents were
from the
like,
bottom. I
top
like this.
to the bottom. Yes. And my father used to be constantly concerned that whether I'll even finish my 10th standard and graduation. I scraped through 10th with 65%, went to a college, and fortunately had a good bunch of friends, very smart, very intelligent, but very outgoing. So I was with them for the outgoing bit. And I had a girlfriend then, who's today my wife, and
Mhm.
she decided to do CA. And I said, I can't afford MBA. Okay, I can't afford an IIM. My parents were very clear it's not possible. So I said, okay, let me go with CA. It's very sundar, sasta, tikau course. Okay, from day one you start earning. And this is 1998. Today it's changed a bit. But then I said, okay, let me go with that. And I went and I fell in love with the whole concept of finance and business. And the plus
Mhm.
point of being a chartered accountant, from day one, I learned a lot of stuff in different industries. So it made me having just not knowledge of finance but a lot of businesses, because that's what you do in audits. You learn and understand the business. Then I did my CA. I started working with the big four corporates like Ernst and Young, RSM, which is today PricewaterhouseCoopers. Got to a place where I, when it comes to that, having that top notch skill of knowing exactly everything, I wasn't there. But the one good thing I had was I was a very, very good communicator, and I was someone who built very strong relationships till date. And that
Mhm.
got me to be one of the most favorite guys to all the seniors I worked with and the juniors I had. And you'll not believe, Fatah, in my whole career of 22 years, I've had only one interview. That's it. I just had one interview. Everywhere else, I have gotten because I knew people and they knew me, and it just was progression, right? And then I came to Dubai in 2007. Amazing job, amazing lifestyle. My wife's also CA. We came here, we started living the dream life with the dream pay packs. I mean, my bonuses then annually were about 20-25 lakhs, just the bonus part, right?
Wow.
And yeah, and then, and it was very satisfying. The job was extremely satisfying. I loved what I did, but then there was only this one thing that poking me, I mean, I don't like getting up and reaching exactly at 8:30 to office. I don't like having lunch between 1 and 2. I don't want to stay till 6:30 and go. I want to build whatever I build on my own. I don't have fixed timings and limitations of everything. And that is when I said, okay, I love what I do in my job, but then why not try something different? And that's when network marketing came into play, right? So I started building networking in 2007, 2008 actually, and 2009 December 31st I quit my job. 2010 to 2016 was some of the best years of my life in building a business, earning of course a lot of money, living at a place where for a year me and my wife were sort of on a vacation actually the whole year. We were practically working just about a week a month, and then got to a place where the ego got into me and I really did extremely bad in my business. I did not change with the times, and my downfall started. Usually people say rodpati to karodpati. I went from rodpati to karodpati, back to rodpati, now again getting to a karodpati. So it's been quite up and down, but it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot,
Hmm.
and got to a place where in 2019 I realized that, what, I need to do something else. Okay, I have done a venture. I didn't have the courage to start from the scratch, and fortunately that's when I heard Dave Gadwi. Okay, and I said, okay, let me start listening to him and working with him, and let me start learning what I want to build for myself, right? So I started working with him as a mentee. I was his mentee. I still learn a lot from him, still his mentee in a lot of ways. And while I was a mentee, after I finished my learning course with him, he offered me the role of a co-mentor, right? Where I was also helping him coach few of his mentees. And post that, he said, I think Mehul, your face best to be with me working as an entrepreneur. And that was the first time I heard this term entrepreneur. I said, it's a job, right, Dave? It's just like doing a job. And he's like, no, it's not a job. I'm offering you entrepreneurship. Yeah, but it's a job, right? You want me to be head sales? He said, yes, I wanted to head sales, but this is not a job because it's going to be your business. And for the first time, when he was explaining me what my role was, I just could not understand. I was in my head, it was a job, 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 job concept, till I actually understood that unlike a job, this was a place where I did not have to report to someone. I would think of what has to be done and work like a businessman without taking the risk. And
Hmm.
that became the biggest plus point for me, right? And then when I got into, I took up sales as a role, and then I also got finance because being a CA, that is what, finance is an integral part of being a CA. And today I head finance and events, right? So it's been a great journey over the last 20 years, and it's been amazing, a lot of learning, and it's fun today.
Great, amazing journey here, right? Starting from where you got started from a job and then moving to Dubai and then building your own business and then again going back to like self-development industry first time in your life and then getting into something called as entrepreneurship. Do you want to talk more about entrepreneurship? Because for me also this concept was very new when I heard it first, and I'm sure like it is going to help a lot of audience. Like, what is entrepreneurship and what is entrepreneurship, right?
So when you talk of an entrepreneur, okay, an entrepreneur is someone who's essentially got a very strong vision. He's someone who knows where he wants to go, what kind of an impact he wants to create. It's not just about the product or the service, but it's about how he wants to create the whole company or business that he's thinking. That's one. Second, an entrepreneur is someone who's willing to take the risk, someone who's ready to take not just the financial risk, but the emotional pressure, the mental pressure, and the physical pressure, all of it, right? Now, an entrepreneur is someone who's willing to take the pressure, but is not someone who's willing to take the risk. Someone who knows that I can run the show, but somewhere has got this question that should I take the whole risk? And that is what I call an entrepreneur, someone who's a very, very strong integrator. He integrates the vision of the visionary into what it can become. So he's a perfect executor, perfect integrator, and someone who can run the show on his own. I'll give you a classic example. In the jobs that I've had earlier from 98 to 2009, right? I always had a reporting structure in terms of what my timesheets are supposed to be, right? In what client, how many hours I'm putting in, right? I had a fixed concept of this is my salary, this is how my appraisal will happen, and this is the person I need to say good morning at this time. I need to log in before this time. I need to log out at before this time. I need to punch in at this time. I need to put my thumbprint at this time. And those were rules that were laid out as a job. But as an entrepreneur, it's none of that. As an entrepreneur, this is my business. So when I head finance today and events of Dev, for me, it is my business. How would I think if I wanted to do something in that zone? How would I think if I wanted to increase the sales from X to Y or X plus X? How would I deliver it as if it was my business? So here, a lot of people think that, oh, it's like a 24/7 job. It's a 24/7 business. I mean, from the time I get up to the time I sleep, I'm thinking of how do I grow Dev Gadvi. And the most important thing here is an entrepreneur, someone who aligns his vision with the company's vision. What is Dev's vision is today what is my vision. Because at the end of the day, if an entrepreneur is not connected to the vision of the visionary, of the owner, then he's just going to be an employee.
Right. I just want you to pause here because I think very important thing you told about vision, right? Aligning with the entrepreneur's vision. Because I think this is the biggest missing factor. I was in the corporate world for about 17 plus years. And I think most of the times I did not even knew what is the company's vision, right? And sometimes I did a deliberate effort. I just went ahead and looked for it. But I could see a lot of my colleagues didn't even knew even after working for 10 years what is the company's vision, right? And no goals were aligned. I think this is very important aspect here. Yeah.
And actually, funny part, Fatah, you walk into a big company, any company, right at the reception, you got the vision of the company, you got the mission of the company, you got the values and the goals, right? I bet 99 of 100 have never read it. And even the one who's read it has never acknowledged to align himself or herself with that. Because when you imbibe that character into yourself, that is when you grow. And most of the people don't think that the value or the vision makes sense. Someone thought, the owner or the people who own the company thought of that vision, and that's where it's there. And when you build yourself to that vision is when you grow in your career.
Right.
If you look at it as a job that I'm here to earn the money, then you don't grow. When you understand that you're an integral part of the growth of the company, right? Benefits will come to you when it has to come. You do not work for the benefit, but you work for what you can help the company to achieve at the end of the day.
Right. But Mehul, tell me this: how much is the role played by an entrepreneur to also help the employees or entrepreneurs to align with the mission? Because in the companies, typically, I see like even the entrepreneurs or the business owners also don't take any effort to talk about mission or vision. They just put it on the board, right? It's just put it on the board where nobody is knowing about it, no one is aligned about it. So, what role does an entrepreneur play in this?
Entrepreneur is the first step to this whole concept of being an entrepreneur. I mean, if you don't have a boss or you don't have an owner who's not an entrepreneur, with the mindset of having intrapreneurs, having integrators in the team, you're not going to go anywhere. How much ever you want to align yourself with the mission, vision, and the mission, if the owner does not allow it, if the entrepreneur does not allow it, and he's wants to run the thing more like what do you call that? Kingdom. What do you call a kingdom? Kind of a business.
Haha.
Autocratic, right? If he wants to
Right.
run it like that, then it's not going to happen unless
Hmm.
the entrepreneur does not give space, does not give freedom, does not allow the integrator and the entrepreneur to make mistakes and change. That person can never become that company cannot become a company which has got entrepreneurs. So the entrepreneur plays the first step, Fatah. Unless and until that person does not give that positioning, does not give that space for someone to become an entrepreneur, the entrepreneur is never going to have people with him who will work with him. It doesn't matter whether the money comes or not.
So basically, it's equally entrepreneur and entrepreneur are both equally responsible for this particular thing.
Absolutely, it's equal. I mean, if you have a big company, you're bound to have amazing visionaries and amazing integrators. That means amazing entrepreneurs and amazing entrepreneurs. Without this combination, no company can be big. And that is why,
Hmm.
if you see at the top level, like when you look at corporates like Tata, when you look at corporates like Reliance, of course, we know the faces of these companies, who are the visionaries. But without their hardcore team, who are all entrepreneurs, who are all taking decisions on their own, they do not always go. I mean, people do not go always to Mr. Tata and say, "Can I take this decision?" But those people run the show, and that is why it is very important in today's world for more and more owners, for more and more entrepreneurs to create that environment where the team can feel valued, can feel respected, can feel being a part of the vision. And that is why them believing in the vision and not making just a statement of it, them believing the vision and them driving the vision, driving the values consistently to the entrepreneurs makes the most sense.
Great. And you have been talking about vision, vision. Now, let me ask you this. What is vision, by the way, and how important is it for any organization? Because we see a lot of organizations where people don't even know the vision, but they might still be successful, right?
So I'll tell you what, success can always happen, depends on what you count as success. If you're counting numbers as success, that there's a kind of turnover and profit, it's there. Many companies run it. But when I'm talking of a vision, in my context, in my understanding, vision is something which an entrepreneur truly believes he will achieve in his life, and that is going to give him a level of satisfaction which everything else can't give him. Right? For example, the person I work with, Dave Gadvi, who's India's first passion mentor, I love the vision he's got of impacting a billion lives, right? By helping them build a business around their own passion. For me,
Hmm.
that vision makes sense because I do not understand the logic of someone working 9 to 5 in a certain old fashioned way of doing jihazuri, not worrying about what the consequences, working like a mechanical instrument, getting salary at the month end and finishing it out. That's not life. That's not life. If I can be an enabler to the vision that he has of creating that 1 billion people's life changing, that what give me satisfaction at the end of the day. And for me, it's about, when he talks of that vision, for me, the vision is of us creating thousands and lakhs and millions of people whose life has got impacted. It could be in job, it could be in business, it could be in career, anything, but because of what we've helped them and guided them on. So the vision
Hmm.
plays a very key role. Yes, of course. It's important that the vision is something that the owner is very clear and he explains his vision to the entrepreneurs.
Great. And the entrepreneur basically takes this vision and runs it as if it is his vision.
Absolutely, as if it is his vision. Right. So
Hmm.
when it comes to me working, my constant thought is, what can I do so that we can grow closer to that 1 billion? Right. The 1 billion is not today, it may happen after 20 years. But every step that we take is towards that itself. That long term vision is to achieve that. But before that, the steps we need to take, we need to take. And that's one thing I think, Fada, one of the biggest thing that entrepreneur creates for an entrepreneur, if entrepreneurs understand this, is loyalty.
Hmm.
Because when you give that space to a person for him to grow, make mistakes, and again grow after that, you are actually getting people's loyalty to work with you. And that
Right.
in today's time is very important. It's not just about having new people coming, it's about ensuring that you retain the people who helped you create the company and build the company.
Right. So you told about mistakes, which is very important here. Now we also will talk about because I know they've got to be enterprises because I have also uh, been a part of it and I'm also a part of it. So this is more like a startup, right? It's not like something which is grown already big time and all of that. So in a developing organization or in a startup, how important is it to focus on like processes, tools, systems, right? And on the other side you have people. So what do you think is important here in these two?
Both are important, but the first thing comes is people. If you are able to get connected well with the people and you're able to get them to become the right people. So a lot of people think, I want to get the right person, I want to get the right person. Yes, we all want to get the right person. But what if you have a person who is very good and can be made right for a role that he can work on, right?
Hmm.
And then come the systems, processes, procedures, tools, everything. But first comes the people. Because
Hmm.
systems, not tools, now that can all be built for that. It's all a part of skill. But imagine if you don't get the if you don't get the right people, and if you don't have the right people to work with, what's the point of having every system and tool, but the people operating on that are no good. But if you have a bunch of good people, and then you create or you get in those systems and tools, it's all sorted. So
Hmm.
most important thing is actually people first. And as we grow, as I've been with Dave for the last 2 years and in this role for the last 1 year, the one thing that we've been realizing, it's all about people. It is all about people, because systems, tool, process, procedures will keep coming, keep changing, keep going. It's the people that we need to handle the most. It's people that we need to take care of the most. And it's people's emotions. If you learn to manage well, you know you're building a great company.
Absolutely. And I think the greatest leaders also talk about this, like people come first, right? And then come systems, tools, processes. Now, you have also been you have been an entrepreneur. We will get to that later, but you have also been an employee, right, for many years. And how do you see a life different? Because you were also doing the entire thing, whatever you were given as a job when you were an employee. Even now, you're doing the same, right? How does it make you as an entrepreneur, and what is the major difference that you see?
So when I was in a job, the earlier years, not as an entrepreneur, when I was in a job as an employee, the employee was told what to do on a daily basis. The
Hmm.
employee was checked upon every third day what was happening. The employee
Right.
had to tell exactly what is happening on which day. There was always a suspicion whether the employee is working in the right way or not. Now, that was my employee life, right?
Hmm.
My entrepreneur's life, the day I signed up, I was told this is what we are expecting. And that's it. That's it. Then it came up to me as to how I'm going to work on that idea. And then I used to go to Dave and tell, you know what, Dave, this is what I've planned out. Do you think this makes sense? Can we apply this? Right? Instead of it being the vice versa. And there were always, as an employee, I was always told, this is your boundary to work on. You cannot work beyond this. Right?
Right.
As an integrator, as an entrepreneur, I have no such boundaries. My designation may be finance and excellence or finance and events. But if I come up with an idea on sales also, the team is such that we are absolutely vocal about it. No one's going to come and question why this happened, why that happened, why are you suggesting this is not your work, right? So as an entrepreneur, it's about running this as my show. And as an employee, it was always about, there's this famous story about the two people building a certain building, where one of the guy goes and asks one of them, what are you doing? And he says, I'm laying bricks, right? I'm doing this building and I'm putting bricks. Can't you see? I'm just putting bricks and I'm cementing them up. And then he sees another old man very happy and putting the same bricks, and he sees the first guy is very angry, very upset, very disgruntled, and he's saying, what kind of a stupid life this is? I'm just putting bricks and it does not make sense. I'm like covered in dust and covered in mud and covered in all the cement. And the same thing another guy is also facing, but he's happy, whistling, singing songs. And and when you go and ask this person, the second guy, what why are you so happy doing the same work that he's doing, and he's so frustrated and you're so happy? This guy says, I don't know what he's doing. He thinks he's laying bricks, but I'm building a cathedral. The point is, the person doing the second job is very clear that what is going to come out of it. It's going to be a cathedral where people are going to come and find peace. And that is why when he's doing, even laying bricks, it's a lot of love. It's a lot of emotion attached to it. Whereas the first guy is just laying bricks, there's no emotion attached to it. And that's for that, if I can call, that's the difference between being an employee and an entrepreneur. An employee is just laying bricks. He's just doing what is told. He's not thinking beyond his capacity. He's not educating himself. In my 9 years of working as a jobby, I was never told to educate myself. I was never told. But from the word go, as an entrepreneur, I have constantly been educating myself and learning more. There I was just a doer. Here I am a learner and a doer. And that makes a big difference. In a job, in my days of an employee, I come, I don't come, it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to my boss. But when it comes to, uh, you know, being an entrepreneur, I am cared about. If something, I'm unwell, well, family, it's a, you're building a business where it's a family running it. But then we've got a lot of things that we put into play, that we create that space for everyone to grow in an entrepreneur. Employee does not so. One of the best differences. In a job, I used to wait for 5:30 or 6:30 to happen. I used to wait, right? I used to hate going to office and entering it because I just didn't like the concept of getting in, especially in my big four days. I worked with some of the big fours here, and they work like machines. Now let me tell you, today, from the minute I get up, the first thing, I mean, after I finish my morning routine, the first thing I know, I switch on my laptop and check my emails because this is my business. I
Hmm.
am not pressured on looking at my emails. I am not, I mean, I would have calls at 12 midnight and I'm excited about those calls because this is my business. Whereas in my job, I hated if I got a message from any of my colleagues after 6:30 in the evening, right? And that's the massive difference I have felt being an employee and being an entrepreneur.
Interesting. And the way you explained it is amazing. I think Naveen says your stories are very powerful, Mehul Gaglani. And I can't agree less here because your storytelling is amazing, right? The way you tell stories, people can connect it very quickly. And this story that you told, the short story, giving that example of how an entrepreneur and a job employee is, I think it's very profound here. So thank you for sharing that. And now coming back to entrepreneur again, like entrepreneur for me, if I understand it, it's more like an entrepreneur only, maybe specific to a certain segment of business. Like if somebody is an entrepreneur in sales, that means that person is like owning the entire sales business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like just imagine one entrepreneur, if he's got to manage seven divisions, he alone cannot do it. He can have employees who will again be managers, but then when he has entrepreneurs in that place, imagine eight people running one business together.
Hmm.
That itself, when you think now, just imagine one entrepreneur versus eight entrepreneurs working together. Whereas in this case, one takes the risk, but eight do the work. And
Right.
that's what is a big deal. And I think one of another thing, Fatah, as an entrepreneur, you do not look at instant gratification. You do not look at, what am I getting today? You do not look because you're so connected to the vision, right? Like I know Dave has a vision of hitting 900 crores over the next 5 years. So my payday is not today. My payday is when we hit 900 crores. So the entrepreneur is essentially looking towards achieving that and knowing that that is the payday and it's not today. And an employee is always looking, what is my appraisal? Am I getting meets, what is that? Meets expectation, XP, what is that
Met
happening?
expectation, beyond expectation.
Exactly. Am I getting a 10% increment, 15% increment? Entrepreneurs least bothered. He understands one logic. If mera, din ka khana pina, if my livelihood is taken care, my payday is after 5 years. It does not matter. It's about reaching there. And that is again a massive difference between both of them.
Yeah. And going back to your job, right? You said you were waiting for that 5:30 or 6 to happen. Right? Is it because of the time restrictions that you had, or is it because of the kind of job that you're doing? Like you are not loving your job, or is it because you had certain people restricting on times and other things?
Certain people. Job, fortunately, finance job I always loved, but certain people, okay, and not in all my companies. A couple of places I loved the work, I loved the people, but then that company was very clear: post 6:30 you cannot stay. The company which I literally used to wait for 6:30 to happen was where my boss was an absolute. That's why I'm not naming the company right now. He was an absolute crazy guy. He used to work 24/7, and he was a very very arrogant nitpicker. For every small thing, when you keep digging, 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 and you don't trust someone, that's when employee is like, "Let me leave this place and go, man. I'm waiting for 6:30 to happen." So it was not the work, it was the people around me.
Hmm. And like you said, your boss was like picking up every small thing. How important is a boss for any company, be it an entrepreneur or be it employee in a job? Like a lot of people say, stay positive even if boss is wrong. Wait for it. Do positive things. You do your own work, right? And some people say, no, 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 my boss is not good. I don't want to work here. And we know the surveys also talk about people quit bosses, not the companies, right? So
Oh,
how important do you think that is?
I'll compare it to a chain. right? Now imagine if you take a gold chain or a gold bracelet and you got links, right? That all of them are different. Now imagine if one link is weak, what's going to happen to the chain? It's going to break. So at
Break.
every level, be it the boss, super boss, manager, assistant manager, at every level, if you do not have that synchronicity happening amongst people, then that organization is going to break one point or the other. And that is why it becomes very important for the owner or the CEO, whoever's in charge, to understand what is his weak link. It could be an over aggressive boss, it could be a nitpicker, it could be someone who does not work hard, it could be someone who does not believe in creating a team, it could be someone who creates a lot of self doubt and doubt in the team. Okay, it could be any of them, but any of them, if they're a weak link, that organization or that division or that group is bound to get broken over a period of time. Either the juniors are going to leave or this guy is going to be thrown out. If thrown out too late, it's going to be bad for the organization itself.
Yeah. And you were also an entrepreneur for quite some time, like you ran your own
Yes.
businesses and all, right?
Yes.
So now, what if you had bosses under you who were having these kind of people under, like you, who were troubled because of the bosses? What would you do as a leader?
I would act. This has happened with me in the business that I used to run. It was in network marketing. So you've created an organization. The people in your organization and then the people in their organization. So we used to always have these people who are too tough, people who are at one point in time either pushing the team too much, right? Or there were people who just didn't care about the team at all. Now,
Hmm.
if you look at any boss, whether he's someone who pushes the team for result, could be for his own growth or company's growth, it is still bad unless and until the buy-in has not come from the team. So if I know I have got someone in my organization who's this troubled maker, either troubled maker by his own mind or troubled maker without knowing of it. So there are two kinds of people who create this. One is those who intentionally do it, and one is those who are very unintentional in doing because their focus is I have to achieve my target, right?
Right.
So if I have these kind of boss, the first thing what I would do and which I have done is sit down and discuss with them, sit down and have an open heart discussion. Have I done something first that has got you to this place? If I have, let's talk it out. If not, why you like this? Because at the end of the day, unless and until communication is not done and confrontation in these cases is not done and it's not closed, that position will always be a challenge for the organization. So I would sit down, have a conversation with this person, find out what it is. If it means he needs to get relaxed, I would give him that relaxation. If it's someone who's doing it unintentionally, if it's someone who's doing intentionally, then there would be different reprimands to be done. Because at the end of the day, in any organization, you can give a person one chance or two chance and not beyond that. If people
Hmm.
don't change, they don't need to be there. So unless and until that person is not aligned with my values, the organization's values, right? That person cannot be there. Simple as that.
Right. And as an entrepreneur, like you were entrepreneur for how many years? For 6 to 7 years, or more than that,
12
I
years.
think.
12 years.
12 years, right?
12 years.
What was the biggest challenge for you as an entrepreneur when you were doing entrepreneurship?
People management. Ironically, because trust me, Fatah, a product, a service, system, process, everything can be managed, right? The biggest challenge is people management. Because you know uh, your Zoho system or your Razorpay system or your Oracle or SAP does not have emotions, but people have emotions. And unfortunately or fortunately, management of that emotion is the most important thing for any leader. How he
Hmm.
manages that individual's emotion and the emotions of the group, which was very good when I started my business career, which was at a high peak, and then some things went wrong, and that equation moved, and things crumbled.
Hmm.
That was the fall of my entrepreneurship. Also, I grew because of that, and I fell because of the same thing.
Hmm. And I think in between you were talking about 2010 to 2016 was a very good period for you in your business. And then
Yes.
you, like what happened after that? Because 2010 to 16, something really worked for you. And what happened in the business after that?
So 2010 to 16, I was super hard on work, traveling a lot, building everything. And I got to this place where I thought, you know what? Now the system's created. Now the business is built. Now it should auto generate for me,
Hmm.
right? And I did not realize that even when you build a system and it's auto generating, it's just imagine this. Let's say you build a pipeline of money, right? And money is coming to you. Now, how dumb it would be of me that I created the pipeline and it did not go and regularly check whether the pipeline had leaks. I did not regularly go back and see what was happening inside the organization. I did not put a check and balance at different places. And then the downfall started. Then there was a misunderstanding between me, my leadership, and one led to the other to the third. The collapse started from 2017 onwards. 18 was disastrous, and 2019 I went to bankruptcy, right? So it was a big learning lesson for me that you can build a business, you can create a pipeline, you can create a system, unless and until you don't take a torchlight and every now and then see where the cracks in the pipeline are and check the system and check the people, because ultimately people maintain the pipeline. It's not gonna work, So that is what happened in those days.
I think that that's a very important lesson because a lot of startups, when they grow, they say initially the first 5 years for any startup is going to be the tough period, right? But you cross that 5 years, you went into the sixth, seventh year. Now you were in the scaling mode or you were in the automation mode. So I think this is a good lesson. Like when you automate as well, keep doing that regular checks so that you are not like breaking, the system is not broken and you are not even aware of it.
Yes, I assume that things are going fine. I gave it a blind eye, and that caused the downfall.
And how does it feel when you actually grow from one place to reaching to like making crores in terms of revenue and your business collapses?
It was a very awakening journey. It was a very, very awakening, very humbling journey. It was something that made me realize that it's not about a business, it's about me. The business didn't fail, I failed. The business didn't succeed, I succeeded. And if I could do it once, I can do it again, whether it's for myself or whether it is with someone else. So it was a very powerful, humbling experience for that. There were times when I did not have money to eat. Okay, I was in India, my family was here, my wife had to take up a job because we had to ensure that the bills were paid in Dubai, my son's education had to happen. So much so that I had to sell my Mercedes out to just pay the rent, to just pay my rent. I had to sell my Mercedes out. So I went through those days that even when I was in India and I knew I had to eat food, and I would wait that today's Thursday, Sai Baba's temple will have food today. And I used to go
Oh
and
my
eat it.
God.
So
Hmm.
it was a roller coaster, but it made me learn a lot of things. It made me learn a lot of things, and I'm so thankful that my boss or mentor, as you call my senior Dave, was there, and a lot of things that I learned from him when I applied it, like he told me two words. Fatah and me, guys, Fatah and me were in the same batch. We were learning together with Dave, right?
Right.
And I was going through this crazy emotional turmoil, financial breakdown, personal life had challenges, to a place where Dave only told me one thing: right now, you just remember two words: how wonderful. And he said, now whatever you think, put these two words and then say whatever you want to say. And that just changed the whole perspective of me, and that got me to change myself. And I understood then where I went wrong, because Fatah, till then I did not even realize where I was going wrong. And that is
Hmm.
I think that is the worst thing for any human being, not to know where you're going wrong.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And how wonderful are the two powerful words that work for you, right? And like when you say how wonderful, what happens actually?
So the minute you say how wonderful, you'll not say a negative statement after that, right? So I was away from my kid. Corona was there. I was stuck in India. My father was on his deathbed. And I was like, how wonderful. And now I'm thinking what to say, because earlier I was like, you know what, my son's not with me, my father's unwell, my wife is not talking to me, so much of stuff. And then when I started saying, how wonderful that I'm here with my father and I'm serving him. How wonderful my son is safe in Dubai, because India was a very, very different precarious health movement then, right?
Right.
How wonderful that everyone in my family is healthy. So that how wonderful got me to change everything to a statement of gratitude. And then things just started changing, because the minute you start thinking of different, when you start changing your own subconscious, things change around you.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And I think Riddhi is also commenting here the power of gratitude, totally relate, right? And I think we all relate with that because Gratitude is something that can change the entire game for you, like the entire way that you think, see the things, right? So yeah, it's like so much of roller coaster ride here from the way you started. Now I want to go back again in your journey, right from the beginning. Now you did your CA, but before that you said you were like one of the you were top among the bottom, right, in your
Yes,
school and all of that. How did
yes.
you crack CA, by the way, when you were top from the bottom?
This is a very interesting thing, Till date, when I meet my school friends, all of them only one thing. "Tu CA kaise bana re?" They all have this thing now. Actually, when I did my
You
CA,
can share the secret now.
so I'll tell you my experience, but I don't know if it's a secret that will help people. When I got into CA, I just realized that the course is crazy because the people have made it so. They have created such a big thing that it is the most difficult thing. And when someone enters something, this thought that this is going to be difficult, it is going to be difficult. How can it be easy? So when I got into CA, and I just told myself, Bhai Sahab, ये तो people with 90% are failing. I will give it my 100%, फिर जो होगा देखा जाएगा. I did not relate my life. I did not relate my career. I did not relate my success to my degree. I just said, if I can get this degree, great. If not, I will do something with my life. And the minute I kept that, I think I got to a place in my mind where when I studied, I learned it than just mugging it or reading it. I understood what it was, and that is what came out in my papers, and that is why I went through and I got through it. I mean, I remember still in my CA days for my examination, I used to go, I used to walk to the hall with just two pens. And everyone, we used to have these exams at 8 morning to 11 morning, 8 morning. So everyone would be opening the books and reading it. I would walk in whistling around and I would psych out people. Did you read this? This is going to come. Did you read this? Because I just realized that the paper's already set. What I could have learned, I already learned. Now,
Hmm.
whatever is going to happen in the exam is going to happen in the exam. Why think so much about it? One, and second, I did not, like I said, did not connect to the result. I let it be. I just put my hard work in. I did not think that I have to get so much to pass in, and it happened. Right. So, and I think a lot of CAs have this feeling that if I don't get the piece of paper, this, yes, that piece of paper is amazing. It gives you a lot of pride. It tells you that you're one amongst lakhs, right? But at the end of the day, do not allow a piece of paper to define you. I mean, even if you've done CA for 6 attempts, 7 attempts, 8 attempts, you actually have learned a lot, because if you studied for 6, 7 times, you may not have the paper, but you have the knowledge. And at the end of the day, knowledge applied well gets you success in life. It's not about just a piece of paper. Apply the knowledge that you've got, and you will get it through.
Yeah,
So my only
absolutely.
secret, I was not very attached to the result. I went, I enjoyed my stuff.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of difference when you don't attach yourself to results, be it any examination for that matter, or be it anything you are doing in your business or job or anything, right? When you attach to results, that's where we start thinking too much, right? Whether I'll win, whether I'll succeed, whether I'll fail. I think this concept is very helpful here. And you said like, yes, it's a paper, it's just a degree, and you also spoke about like people who have gone through 6 7 attempts, they would have learned more. And I could relate with whatever Tony Robbins say, right? Repetition is the key to mastery. So
Yes.
you have mastered that skill, right? But
Yes.
then, though you have mastered the skill, Mehul, how do you think these people can enter into the corporate world and then still do the job which they love to do? Because degree is still important, right? CA.
I agree. So CA degree is important at a place where you need to sign documents, because there are
Mhm.
certain documents which the government of India or government of any country allows only those people with a degree to sign it. But that doesn't mean that what's put on the paper has to be done by someone with the signature, with the signing authority itself, right? Because at the end of the day, even if I'm not a CA, but I have knowledge of finance, I have knowledge of accounts, I have knowledge of things what is required for my industry. If I build the courage, if I build the value for myself, and I build the courage of going and portraying myself today that I have knowledge of this, people will take me on. Further, we live in a world of social media. Now imagine if I was a guy, I had done 10 attempts, right?
Mm.
But I've not gone through, I've not got my degree. And now that's gonna come. In due course of them, that's gonna come. But if I was out on social media and talking on finance and I was explaining people financial stuff, you think it's not noticed by people across?
It will be. Yeah.
It is going to be noticed. But for me to do that, do I have the courage? and do I believe that I know it? Because if my belief is stuck that if I have that paper, then I believe it, even if you have the paper, you won't believe it, right? But if I know it and I'm very clear that I know this and I can help people, I can give value, whichever organization I go, I bet this person will have organizations wanting him to come on board.
Yeah. And I want to pause you here because you said something really powerful here, that if you don't believe when you don't have that paper, like think about it, even when you have the paper, will you believe that you can do it? I think this is a very powerful question here, which people should think about, because any industry I see, even the IT industry that I come from, a lot of people talk about MBAs, certifications, right? And they don't think that it is knowledge or skills which is more powerful than any degree, right? And if you believe that without that paper you are not like, you don't have that in you, or you are not worth, then even with that paper you will not going to become something that you are worth, right? Very
So,
powerful.
and you will then fake it. Let's say I got the degree, but I didn't believe in myself. I would fake it for some time, but one point or the other, my employer will come to know that this is something I do not know. I've just got a
Hmm.
degree of it, and that's about it. And that's, I think, worldwide, a lot of people attach themselves to constantly having degrees. I just believe, I just feel that they need a validation of themselves. Actually, they
Yeah,
just need someone else to tell them that you're intelligent, you're smart. And
true.
unfortunately, our education system, Fatah, has got our children and us to believe in this,
Yeah.
right? And that's honestly a very sad thing. And some of them who've broken this paradigm for themselves have grown in life. When they've detached
Definitely.
themselves from the education system and gone for real life education, they've grown. It didn't matter what
Right.
degree they had or they didn't have.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of examples, like the best, most successful people did not have the degrees, but they still became the most successful. And I think today that's why organizations like Google or Amazons and all, they don't care for degrees, they don't care for certifications. And like today, even the digital marketers, influencers, who has the degree, but they are still making a lot of money, they are still creating a lot of impact, right? They're still sharing a lot of knowledge. I think that's where people should think about it and then take the right steps.
The first myth I feel, Fatah, what people have to break in themselves, that I am only something if I have a piece of paper, put my name on it and a degree on it. If they can
Mm.
break that myth, and if our education systems and educators like you can go and tell it to people that, you know what, you don't need to have a degree to become successful in life, that makes a big difference in today's time.
Right. And going back to things, now you said one thing, like when in your entire career you gave interview only once. Right? And one of the biggest challenge, since I also work with mid-career professionals, one of the biggest challenge I see with people is they are looking at their skills, they are looking at their degrees to get the jobs, right? But people don't understand the power of networking. And you have been like one person who strongly believes in people and networking. Like, why do you think networking is important, and how people can help in career growth or growth in business or anywhere?
I'm sure everyone has heard this statement: network is net worth. Everyone knows this, right?
Right.
But I is someone willing to go out and network? Because at the end of the day, if anyone wants to build anything, you have to talk to people about it. Like, I'll give you an example. My one interview happened in 2002, right after I finished my CA. My first interview happened, and I know I failed miserably in the interview. It was a technical round with my boss, Debashish Das Gupta. I can name him because I love this man, right? And he said, I know you don't know stuff. He told me, I know you don't know much stuff, but I like the way you are. I like your energy. And he's been someone who's been a mentor to me till date. I love and respect this man because he did not just go by my skill, he went by what I was. And that helped the organization, because picking up a skill can happen easily, but having the right attitude and the right energy level matters the most, right? So if you look at it in today's time, if there is anyone who knows that he's got to connect to people, who's going out and connecting, because everyone wants to get connected. Who wants to stay inside a hut in one remote village? No one. Nah? That's why we live in metros. Everyone wants to get connected. Everyone wants to be spoken to. So if there are very few people who are going out and speaking, and most of them want to be spoken to, I think it's better to go out and speak, because then you're more known than anyone else. And what
Right.
today we are going out and doing on social media and putting all of it, as much as that is powerful, individually connecting with people, meeting them over a cup of coffee. Thankfully, now things are open across the world. Meeting people over a cup of coffee, going out and meeting strangers always creates connects. And you never know where, who will come and connect with you and for what it will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you also added that one point about social media. Now, social media has become a big thing, especially after COVID. A lot of people are on social media. But I see one thing again with networking. There is a challenge that has come is people think networking on social media itself is networking, right? And they don't even bother to talk to people. Connect, click and connect. That's where they see I have 50,000 connections, I have 20,000 connections. So how do you think people can work on this particular area?
So if people start thinking of not having 50,000 connections but having 50 good connections, that will make a massive difference. It doesn't matter whether I have 50,000 connections, but even if I have 5 good and correct connections where the relationship is built strong, where I know that I can get some work done or I can help them and be of value to help them get their work done, that's way better than having the online connections. Because the online connections do not stay with you all the time. They have a connection with you. They have a connection with 1,000 people. But how many people have connection with just 5 people? Very powerful connections with the right kind of people at the right positions. And that will only happen when you keep going and meeting people out. So while we connect on social media, it's great. People where we cannot connect physically, no problem. But in every city and town, there are always successful people. Like I love watching, Undercover Billionaire. And that is something that has taught me a lot of what networking can do. When a
Hmm.
millionaire is thrown out there with zero money, $100 is not money actually in today's time, with $100
Right.
and a mobile phone which has no contacts. And then when he starts building, now they don't go to social media and build, because people is what end up building with you. So are you connecting with people real time? Now even if you're connecting on social media, are you doing this connection right now? What you and me have, Fatah, is still a connection,
Right.
right? It's not public. I mean, there are people watching it, but then there is a connection between Fatah Khan and Mehul Gaglani, which is what even social media can help people do. But are they
Right.
looking at that, or are they just trying to see how many people have liked me, how many people have subscribed to me, how many people have connecting to me? Or they're looking at getting those connections done?
Yeah, makes sense. And while we were discussing earlier, Mehul, you spoke about how you were making about 7 to 8 lakhs in India, and then you got a job in Dubai, which was around like at least 4 to 5 times. You made it to 30 lakhs. So was it again from your network, or was it like you still gave an interview?
Only network. When I was frustrated in this big four, I did 2 calls. And I said, you know what, I'm looking for a job. And I had met this company, Panelka Foster, in 2005. I'd come to Dubai for a 15-day assignment, and that assignment didn't happen. But
Hmm.
in those 15 days, all I did was I built good relationships with the managers, with the senior management, and the people working there. And the minute I got the call, they said, we've got this position opening. Would you want to come for this? I said, no, this is one position junior of mine, so I'm not okay with that. And then after 3 days, I got a call again. And I was told, okay, so we'll offer you the same position with this money. Are you game for it? I said, I'm game. And that was it. It was just about the relationship that I had.
So you mean to say like any country you can still develop relationship and you can still get your like
Absolutely.
business done, job, you get a
Absolutely.
job.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that people do not understand is the power of asking. The
Hmm.
power of asking and power of being the first to open a conversation is very, very strong. If at the end of the day, I have this courage in me to send an email to someone and say, you know what, I'm interested in this. If that person's successful, he will definitely respond to me.
But
It
what
is
if people don't respond? Sorry to interrupt you here, but I keep hearing this from people. Hey, Pata, I sent 10 connection requests. People don't connect, right? At the leadership level, maybe CEOs, CIOs. I try to talk to people in networking events. They don't give me proper response. What if people don't respond, Mehul?
so. I'll give you two things for that. First is when I'm connecting to someone, how am I connecting to them? Am I just sending a click, connect, click, connect? Don't expect that. Are you portraying yourself? Are you connecting as you to that person? I mean, if I want to connect with Russell Brunson, if I just send connect and I say he's not connecting with me, it won't help. Unless and until I do not portray myself once or maybe twice, that this is what I am and this is what I've learned about you. Because at the end of the day, why would anyone connect with anyone when they know there is something which is common between two people, right? And when it comes
Hmm.
to going to a networking event and connecting to people, then have you thought of how you're approaching them? When you're connecting to someone at a common network, what is it that you're talking and how are you portraying yourself and how are you talking to them? Are you doing a game of me all the time, or are you talking of a conversation which leads to a we? And that is how
Makes
you
sense.
actually build connections. When you talk to someone, it cannot just be about me, it has to be about us, or it has to be about him too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, makes perfect sense here because especially since I deal with corporate professionals, what they do is the biggest mistake they do is they connect and they start asking, "Can you help me with the job?" Right, which is the biggest mistake. You first add value, as you said, right? It can be about them or it can be about like us, right? Him or her or us. It cannot be about you, right? Later you can leverage that connection. Later you can leverage that network. That's a different part when you build that relationship.
And at the end of the day, now, Fatah, if I cannot add value to someone else first, how do I expect them to add value to me? I mean, I can't go with the ball of asking all the time. And when I say I, is anyone, any human being, right? You cannot always go from a place of getting things. Are you giving first? It doesn't matter.
Mm,
It doesn't matter that are you making giving a nature of yourself? Or are you only giving because you want to take something from someone? If you
mm.
make giving as a nature, it will always come back to you. But if you're giving only because you want to take from that person, not gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. And you also said about when you were in job, right? You were happy about the job, just that the people and the timings and all those things were challenges. Now you said you were making approximately 25 lakhs per annum just as bonuses. And I believe when we were talking, you said you had hit about 75 lakhs per annum in terms of like your income. From there, you decided to quit your job. Now what inspired you, and if somebody thinks of like following their passion or whatever they love, right, how can they do that? Like it's not easy quitting such high paying job and then starting your own business. So what do you suggest for people who really want to do something on their own?
First, keep a financial backup for yourself before you plunge into anything. Because at the end of the day, if you're a sole man who does not have any family to look after, it's perfectly fine. But if you got a family for yourself, keep a financial backup, and it has to come from within you that you want to quit. It cannot be on someone else's discussion, someone else's decision for you. It has to come from you. Along with that, whenever you quit, ensure that you've got someone who's better than you in what you're doing and is guiding you. Could be as a partner, could be as a mentor, could be as a teammate, but someone who's better than you, who's constantly there to help you beat the things around. Now, when I quit my job, I did have people, but I realized over a period of time, most of them were not better than me. And it was always a block hole that I faced. But when I got someone to guide me, things changed, right? So if anyone wants to quit their job and build a business around their passion, look at the timing, look at what you've created, and most important, create success for yourself while in the job. Because Fatah, I quit my job in 2009 December 31st. I joined networking in 2008 Jan. So 2 years I did my business and the job together. When
Hmm.
I realized that I was getting good at what I was doing in my business, that's when I quit my job. It wasn't that I stopped this and I started that. I was doing and then did both together and then went into it. I think that is something which most of us, including you, have done. Doing
Yeah.
both the things together, and then once you know you've done this well, then move out of the job.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense here. Like parallelly, trying to build that business, right? And then you said have a partner or a mentor who can guide you, who is better than you, right? And then the final aspect you also said is have a good backup so that you don't
Yes.
run out of finances. If you are
Yes.
not married, if you are a lonely person, then it is perfectly fine.
Go
But
live
if you
like a
have
full
a family, right, then you have to always think about those aspects. I think a very good discussion done here, starting from your journey, entrepreneurship, and all of that. And it gave a lot of ideas, insights about entrepreneurship and how somebody can become successful as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, right? The one who is like an entrepreneur inside the business. Now, before we end this discussion, any last piece of advice you want to give, Mehul?
Whatever you do it from your heart. Do not bother about the results till you're giving 100% of yourself. That's it.
Amazing, amazing. So I think this is really powerful. Whatever you do it with 100%. Like put your heart and soul into it, and then just don't bother about the results. Yes, work for the results. I think that is what is required, but don't bother about the results, and then just play it full. So I think this is really good, and thank you, Mehul, for sharing so much of insights here and giving some amazing insights about entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, and also talking about how somebody can do a lot of things without even thinking about degrees, the papers, the certificates that people think about. So it was amazing, and I'm sure like the audiences who have been like watching us, and let us also like also thank the audiences, some of them who have been very participative and appreciating Mehul and me on this particular thing. Sandeep, Amol Salunke, Naveen, Anju Chaudhary, Manikandan, Riddhi, Naveen, Nikita, thank you all of you for being here and watching us. And for all of them who will be watching us later on the recording, thank you for watching us. And I'm sure you will be getting a lot of value and a lot of learning and insights from whatever Mehul has shared in the last 1 hour. And I'm sure it's going to help you all. And yes, people who want to continue to learn, stay tuned because we are going to bring more experts onto Dream Career Talk Show so that they can share their experiences, they can share their journeys, and not only about their success, but also about their failures so that you can understand, learn, and you can build your dream career. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mehul, once again
Thank you,
for
Tata.
being on the show. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, and good night, everyone.